Hey guys, what's up? This is Brandon Chen. I'm an author of novels, manga, and webtoons, and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions. So I sent out a tweet, a YouTube community post, and a Instagram post asking you guys to submit some questions about me as a content creator, an author, whatever it is. And can't answer probably all of them, but some of them I'm sure I'll address in a future video. So before we get into the video, make sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm. Drop a comment if you have any more questions that I don't answer in this video. Hopefully I will be able to make a future video addressing some of your questions. And then also subscribe and hit the bell notification to make sure that you're updated on any content that I put out related to anime, manga, webtoons, novels, writing, all that good jazz, publication, all of that fun stuff. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So my first question is, what long-form content do you have planned for the future? What is the piece of work you're most proud of to be released / will be released? Okay, so there's two-part questions. The first question is, what long-form content do I have planned for the future? I would say that it's kind of videos like this, which is more educational in terms of like the behind the scenes of being a manga / webtoon author full-time. I would also say like I would like to have some fun content in there as well, but I think I'm very experimental this year because this is going to be my first time doing long form. I'm very used to the short form video content, so this year is going to be just me testing things out, seeing what works with you guys and what you guys like and what you don't like, and then we'll go with what you guys like. And then the work I'm most proud of that's been released, I think, is Nora, which is a novel that I have currently on Tapas. Hopefully will be picked up as a comic because that's what I want. But yeah, Nora, I spent like 3 or 4 years writing that, so that was like and I spent like a long time doing research on the Sengoku Japan kind of period because the story is based in a fantastical form of Sengoku Japan. It's about a blind samurai girl, and yeah, I had to do a lot of research on the different fables, like the Oni, all that jazz. Yeah, it's just really, really well written in my opinion, in terms of like writing style, and also in terms of the events and dialogue and all that stuff. So I'm very proud of that one. In terms of what's going to be released, I'm very excited for Just a Goblin, which is a series that's coming out on Webtoon as an original, and then also Samurai no Tora, which is another series coming out on Webtoon as an original, 2022. Check it out when it comes out. I'm sure I'll spam it everywhere if you're following me on. Favorite novel? My favorite novel is The Song of Achilles, which is by Madeline E. Miller. I'm obsessed with gods. I'm obsessed with Greek mythology, if you guys, or any mythology, if you guys know me at all. I love having gods and stuff in my stories, and that's a very romantic tale and a retelling of the Iliad. So I love that book. Madeline E. Miller is a massive inspiration to my writing style, so I definitely recommend you guys check it out. Her other book, Circe, which is a retelling of the Odyssey, is also a really good book. To get really good at writing a good story, what books / stories do you recommend? I would recommend On Writing by Stephen King, I believe, and then also Manga in Theory and Practice, which is by Hirohiko Araki, who did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I recommend that to anyone who's interested in getting into manga writing and development. I'll link that in the description. I think Attack on Titan is a really good story to study, and so is Death Note if you're interested in manga like writing as well. So I think I would study and check out those two series. What else? What else is very well written? Monster. Anything by Urasawa is also pretty well written. I would check that out. Akira. Actually, I could create an entire series on entire video on all these good stories that you guys should check out. So maybe I'll do that on the side, but those are a good start. Have you ever felt desperate in your journey? Wow, that's a really hard question.
So hard.
If yes, how do you deal with it? Have you ever felt desperate? I think I haven't felt so desperate because for the longest time I wasn't full-time as a writer. I was doing writing on the side. I think I felt like driven to attain something, but I was never desperate because I always had a backup plan. I was in finance before I was a writer, right? So it wasn't like if my writing career didn't work out, I was gonna be on the streets and I was gonna be, starving. So I was never like so desperate. I was just like hungry. I would say that's the term.
Nice.
How did you deal with it? But I mean, I guess like in terms of hunger, it's like you want this success, right? You want your writing career to work out. And I think that a very positive way to look about it is like being patient, right? It's like, this doesn't have to work out today. It's not gonna work, maybe if it doesn't even work out a year from now, 2 years. It took me 7 years to get to where I am. You know, I'm 7 years in and I just went full time. Like, you know, it's gonna take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and just making sure that you're hungry and you know what you want, and putting in the effort over those years. And obviously having any sort of backup plan in case it doesn't work will help you avoid being desperate. Because obviously it would be a lot different if I was full time from the very start and I was not getting the results I wanted for 7 years straight, right? So most mangaka stick to one story. What inspires you to take on so many? That's a great question. I think part of it, I think I made a video on this, part of it is obviously monetarily. Like, it's hard to make a lot of income off of just one series unless you have like a Naruto or One Piece. Especially when you're writing and creating stories in the US. So I would say part of it's monetary, part of it's also like I have so many stories that I want to work on simultaneously. It would be a shame if I were to take one story and run with it for 10 years and leave 40 stories on the back burner and actually have them never be told. So instead, I'm just like, you know what, I might as well just do them all at once and just kind of kill myself and work very hard. So that's what I do instead. But yeah, I don't think writing multiple stories really kills the quality of the type of work I do. I'm very used to working on multiple things at the same time. So for me, I pretty much have my stories like memorized, so it's very easy to pick up where I left off. So the good analogy I like to do is like, you know, in school, I used to do like 8 to 10 different classes. I used to memorize all this information and understand all this information from all these different courses. And these are information that other people created and wrote, and I'm memorizing them, right? If I can't memorize and understand and be able to create my own content, like 8 to 10 different stories, and I was able to survive school, like how, you know? School is way harder than me writing a bunch of stories, you know? That's my take. Like, school is way harder. So if I survive that, I can survive this. But yeah, if I do end up hitting the next, like, you know, a big series like One Piece or whatever, then like, yeah, I would consider doing one story. Next question. Is there going to be a Nora comic or book? Yeah, so there's going to be a Nora paperback and hardcover coming out early 2022. I don't know when this video is going to come out, so maybe it'll already be out. I'll make an announcement if you guys are following me on social media. Comic, we're in the talks, so we'll see what happens. Do you skip leg day? Sometimes it depends on the vibe. I definitely do not work on my legs as much as I work on the rest of my body, and a lot of people seem to have noticed that. So thank you for awakening that insecurity. Favorite voice actor? Japanese is Yuki Kaji. He is so good. He's like Eren Yeager. He's Todoroki. He's every freaking emo boy that you've ever seen in your life. American, his name is Yuri Lowenthal, I think. He did Sasuke, he does Spider-Man. He's a pretty good emo boy too, so I like his voice acting as well. How do you know how to arrange panels, man? Mine are all over the place. I have a manga class that actually tells you how to study for panel composition. If that's something that you're interested in, I'll link in the description. Spent a long time writing or creating that manga class, so hopefully if you're an aspiring manga writer or comic creator, panel composition is something that you study. You learn it from reading a lot of manga, and you have to look at it through the lens of a author. So, you know, when you're reading manga, you don't just like skim through the panels and read, you know, a chapter in 1 minute. You have to take your time and study those panels and see which panels you like, which panels you don't like, and see which panels, you know, how the page is laid out, you know, what the composition's looking like, and then you start to incorporate that into a little bit of your own stories, and then through practice, through trial and error, you know, you'll start to get better at it. So it's definitely not something you can just learn overnight, and it's definitely not something you can do just from reading manga without trying it yourself. So have you ever thought of making a rom-com genre? Yes, I have thought about making rom-com. I love rom-com series, but it's so hard to write romance, dude. It's so hard. Versus like writing like shonen action. Like shonen action is so easy to write. It's the easiest thing. I can do it with my eyes closed and like totally asleep. Rom-com is a lot harder because there's feelings involved. Anyway, there's feelings involved if you make it, and you have to make it entertaining. It's not just like, oh, epic punch. Wow, that's so sick, you know? So yeah, I mean, I want to do romantic series. Hopefully I get something greenlit this year. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Because I love to post about any new green lights or any new projects that I have coming up. So stay tuned. Why are you so hot? That's a great question. That's perspective, I guess. What inspired / influenced your style? I would say Tite Kubo, who does Bleach, inspired the art style that I look to kind of have in most of my projects. I would say Attack on Titan inspired a lot of my writing. Same with Game of Thrones. Like anything that's very like a lot of like seinen or dark shonen has inspired my style, I think, a lot, in terms of like how I write. And also like anything by Makoto Shinkai and Studio Ghibli. So like there's two sides of me. There's like the dark emo side that really likes dark shonen, and then there's like the soft boy side that really likes Makoto Shinkai, like Your Name, Studio Ghibli, like Spirited Away, that type of stuff. And so I'm trying to, most of my publications are in the dark shonen area, but I'm looking to create and get new green lights in the more soft boy romance / ethereal rated E for everyone stories as well. So we'll see how that goes. But a lot of inspirations, I get new inspirations every day, every year. So infinite list, I would say. Any story ideas you want to do, but don't think you ever will? Yeah, I have a lot of story ideas. I actually have this big document. Whenever I get a new idea for a story, I drop the idea in this document, and then whenever I'm looking to pitch to new publishers, I just pluck them out. And so I have a lot of ideas that have been greenlit from concepts that I've created back in college. So we'll never know what gets picked up and what doesn't get picked up. I hope that a lot of the good ones that I have a lot of good ones that I think are like my babies, that I hopefully will get picked up in the future, and then I can publish before I die. That would be sick. How tall are you? 5'10". What is the story you have the most fun writing? God Game is super fun to write. I think Samurai no Tora, which will come out on Webtoon this year, is super fun to write. A lot of action series I have a lot of fun writing. Nora, I think, was extremely fun to write, very complicated, because there's also a very political aspect to that series. Yeah, I have a lot of fun writing a lot of action series. I think writing like more complicated romance stories is kind of where I get more fulfillment. But in terms of like what is the most fun, it's just like the Brain Dead fighting action series that I write. So not Brain Dead. I don't know why I said Brain Dead, but like Brain Dead because action is pretty, it's a lot easier to write. Actually, I think futuristic sports, I have a lot of fun writing those, like Dodgeball, Samurai no Tora. Those are futuristic sports is super fun to write. Looking back at your old works, is there anything you thought could have been better? I think the thing about being a writer or creator and anything is that every single year you look back at your works and you're like, fuck, I could have done that better. And that's still the scenario with me. Every single time I look back at something and it publishes, you're always like, wow, I could have done better on this, which is just an indication to you that you're growing and that you're developing as a writer. So not that you shouldn't be proud of the work that you do, because I am proud of the work that I do, but it's also like, I'm getting better. Yes, I could have done this thing better, but that's just an indication of where I was before. And, hopefully my readers that are reading through my works in chronological order are like, wow, Brandon's freaking getting really good as I continue. Yeah, I would say my first novel ever put out, like Age of Darkness, that is not ashamed of it by any means. People still read it, people still like it, people ask about it all the time, but I mean, I wrote that when I was 17. I'm 24 now. Like, obviously, I'm like, wow, I could have totally, if I rewrote that, I could totally slaughter that story and make it so much better, right? Favorite quotes by anyone. Let me look up this quote real quick. There's this quote from Bakuman, and the quote is, "My uncle never told me to become a mangaka. I'm drawing manga because I want to. A dream isn't something someone tells you to go for, it's something you fulfill on your own." And I love that. But the quote is just so amazing. Honestly, I live and die by that quote. So I should get that freaking tattooed on me, honestly. So yeah, if you haven't watched or read the anime/manga Bakuman, you definitely should, because it is all about creating manga and all about being an author. So, and following your dreams. So I think that's super important. Biggest non-anime/manga inspirations. Anything by Hans Zimmer? Nope, not Hans Zimmer. Anything by Anything by Christopher Nolan, I think, because Christopher Nolan just has these like mind-bending stories. I think Pirates of the Caribbean, I love Pirates of the Caribbean for some reason, because I think Jack Sparrow is one of the most, or for the first like 3 movies, Jack Sparrow was one of the most interesting Western characters that I've seen written. So I think those are 2 things that I draw inspiration from that I think are really interesting. And they feel very different. Like when you see Jack Sparrow on screen for the first time, you're like, wow, that's a very interesting and different character. When you see a Christopher Nolan movie, you immediately know it's Christopher Nolan, right? Like their branding in their writing and it's just so crazy. That's the end of this Q&A because I went too long. So if I didn't answer any of your questions, there's a good chance I'll make a video. I have like a list of questions that are too big for me to answer really quickly on a Q&A. So I might just make like a separate video for those in the future. Make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for the future content. And I will catch you guys in next week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.